Do we have news about a Rays new stadium, or do we have an agreement to talk about an agreement to maybe sit down and discuss something, but whatever you do, don't tell the Buccaneers? I don't know. Neither do you. Maybe Ulises and Kevin from Locked On Rays will know something. We're doing a crossover.
You are Locked On MLB Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, Locked On Rays Crossover. This is the podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball or just the Tampa Bay Rays all year long, and we are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which, if you're unaware of it, let me tell you something. We are now the #1 sports podcasting network, and today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. We got football games today that's so big that even your pal Sully is watching them. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 to get $200 in bonus bets if you win. And follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they call it these days, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. But the best way to get a hold of us is right here on the YouTubes and post something down there. And if you're listening to us all the time, and you should just leave that hashtag. Where's the hashtag I have there? Hashtag is Everyday Sully. And also be sure to join the Everydayer Club, where I'm on the Discord channel way too much. But I'm going to bring in two people who know more about the situation with the Tampa Bay Rays. Again, I could bring in my dog right now who may know more about the Tampa Bay Rays. So here she is. Here's my dog, Eleanor. All right, she's staying there. She's not going anywhere. But we have Kevin from Locked On Rays, Ulises from Locked On Rays. Name spelled correctly. I spelled it right? It's Kevin? Okay, I got it right?
That is correct, yes.
All right, cool.
Third time's a charm.
All right, Ulises, obviously, I got right in the first bounce.
Uh-huh.
Hey, guys. Welcome to the show. Welcome back, both of you.
Yeah.
Sully,
Always a pleasure to be on the flagship MLB show.
Yep, as I'm proudly wearing my Massachusetts shirt for the day. So let me just tell you what I know, and believe me, that's not going to take us to the break. The Rays built the stadium to lure the White Sox in the mid-1980s. Everyone wanted to go to Tampa. The minute they got a team, they couldn't wait to get out of there. So Mother Nature did their best and ripped the top off like a sardine can. And because we don't do things like multi-purpose stadiums anymore, they spent the gross national product of most European countries to build a stadium for the Buccaneers, but it can't be reconfigured for baseball because we all love Camden Yards. So they are talking with a local community college about tearing down the student union and building a stadium there. And the Buccaneers said, what? And the Yankees said, huh? And all of a sudden, Orlando is saying, hey, we can build you a stadium next to Gatorland. So that's basically everything I know, which ain't much. How much of that is if you excuse the term, in the ballpark of being correct?
I think the picture is set, but we can help maybe make it HD for folks that are listening to this. So the lease was supposed to be done after 2027, obviously with the Hurricane Milton. That has been extended for a year. So the lease for the Tropicana Field is done after the 2028 season. That means that the Rays' new ownership is looking to open up a stadium in 2029 for opening day. Now that is the clock is a ticking, obviously, because now we're in 2026. So can you build a stadium, get the financing done, get the shovels done, get the architecture, the design, the public transport, the parking, all of that done within 3 years? Seems like that would be really, really tough. Can it be done? I'm sure it can be, but it's going to be really, really tough. And now the first step, or maybe like Colleen Wright, a Tampa Bay Times reporter that we had on Friday, said it's not even the first step. What just happened on Tuesday is just a first half step, which is a non-binding agreement to explore a mixed-use stadium project on that Dale Mabry Hillsborough Community College campus. You're right. It is a community college, but it does have what the Rays said they wanted, 100+ acres. Why? Because they want to do a battery style like they have in Atlanta, where they can have retail and all that. Plus, this would give it a little spin of like, oh, also we're going to be promoting Hillsborough Community College in the same aspect. And from what we know, Kevin, there's not a lot of specifics, but at least that sets up the picture so far.
Yes, big picture here. If it wasn't illuminated already, the Rays presently play in St. Petersburg, which is in Pinellas County. The new ownership group of the Rays wants to relocate the Rays from St. Petersburg and Pinellas County to the city of Tampa in Hillsborough County, because that is where the bulk of the population is. And the idea is you get Hillsborough College. It's actually going to go from Hillsborough Community College to Hillsborough College, because I guess community college has a bad misnomer. It's got a bad characterization to it. But you have portions of the college, you have a ballpark, you have the 100-acre of redevelopment that allows for restaurants and hotels and residential, mixed use, all that good stuff. So that is what the Rays are trying to do. The issue, among many issues, is how and where and why are they going to get public financing, because Pinellas County and St. Petersburg have a treasure chest of tourist tax dollars that can be deployed towards a new ballpark, whereas Hillsborough County, city of Tampa, you got a couple issues there. You already have the Lightning in town, and you already have the Buccaneers in town, and that's a lot of money thrown at two professional sports teams. So those are some of the things that'll have to be worked out and situated. But what is key here is the new ownership group, in particular, Patrick Zalupski, has a close buddy-buddy relationship with the governor, and that means things can get done one way or the other. That's my point of view anyway.
You know, it seems like, first of all, I didn't mean to belittle the school by calling, I know I don't have any problems with the word community college. I didn't mean to belittle them.
No, you're good. It still, I think, is technically Hillsborough Community College, but there's a whole branding initiative to remove the community from it. So I guess eventually it will be Hillsborough College. But as far as we've always known, it's the Yale on Dale. That's what we call it. The Yale on Dale Mabry.
And just to clarify one thing before we go to a break here, for those who are listening who aren't as locked into Rays news as you guys are, last year they played at Steinbrenner Field, which is the spring training home for the Yankees. They played in a minor league ballpark out of the necessity of the fact that the Trop was ripped apart, unlike the A's who were there because it was a self-sabotage.
Yes.
But so it's a much different situation. Is the Trop ready to go for the 2026 season, or are they going back to Steinbrenner Field this year?
They will be going back to the Trop. However, what they've decided is, in order to give a little bit more cushion, the Rays are going to start with a long road trip to start the season, starting in St. Louis. So they're going to be rather cold for the first 10, 11 days of the year, and then they will be opening up at the Trop for opening day in St. Pete.
Just to add to that, Sully, you made a good point, and I forgot to mention this. You have Hillsborough County, city of Tampa. Money is allocated to the Lightning and the Buccaneers. Money's also allocated to the Yankees and spring training upgrades and upgrades at Steinbrenner Field for tourism purposes. But yes, the Rays will be good to go at the Trop. As far as I know, the roof is set, and the new ownership group, even though we're only going to be in the Trop for a couple more years, to their credit, they've made a lot of enhancements or upgrades, or they plan to for this season to improve the fan experience. Upgrades to the video boards and different things like that. So that's a credit to them. And yeah, the Rays will be, God willing, there's not another hurricane. they'll be playing in Tropicana Field for the next couple years, and they will probably never have to play in Steinbrenner Field again after that.
Yes.
All right. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the ramifications of where they're looking at and what would happen if, and I'd hate to say this, Rays fans, what if this doesn't work out? How big a football day is this? It's so big that even your pal Sully, who cannot name 4 current NFL players, is excited. Do you know why? Well, first of all, everyone thinks I'm a Patriot fan, so they'll congratulate me if they win and they'll taunt me if they lose. But I know people who grew up in Denver. I know people who live in the Northwest. And guess what? I live in Los Angeles County, so I really can't go wrong. I can put my bets everywhere. But I don't recommend you do that. I just recommend you make the right bets. And if you do, head on over to the FanDuel. Now, it is the last kickoff before the Super Bowl, and it's the final chance to get on the action. Super Bowl 60. Why didn't they have Super Bowl 49 in the 49ers Stadium? Why did they have one chance to do that ever? They had Super Bowl 50 there, and they're having Super Bowl 60 there. What were they thinking? But you know what? FanDuel is making sure you get right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're picking your favorites, which I don't have one, you're riding with an underdog. I got my doggy looking at me right over there. We're building one last same game parlay. This is the game. This is what everyone's rooting for. And do you know what? It's the perfect way to cap off the season. And when the Super Bowl comes around, it's going to be even more exciting. When Denver or New England plays Los Angeles, or wait, who's the other one? Seattle. There you go. I'm such a big fan. If you're a new customer, your voice will break in just $5. You get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count. You want the Super Bowl is around the corner, and then the season's over, and then you have to wait for baseball. Last call for football on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for either making Locked On MLB or Locked On Rays your first listen of the day. And do you know what? Kevin, Ulises, and I can all say thanks for making us the #1 sports podcasting network. If you haven't already done it, check out the Everydayer Club. You get your Everyday Club for the Rays or for Locked On MLB. It's similar to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, ad-free shows. And you also get access to the Everydayer Club Discord. Guess what? I'm there way too much and posting a lot of stuff. I just posted a lot of pictures of me at baseball games with my dad in the 90s in stadiums that don't exist anymore, like Tiger Stadium and Memorial Stadium. Check us out at lockedonmlb.supercast.com. All right. Death, taxes, and Tampa Bay stadium problems are the 3 things we can always count on.
Yeah, this has been going on for, I don't know, 2 decades now.
Yep.
And you know what? I hate to say this, but I am, when I was the guest host for Locked On A's for a year, the long-term guest host, a lot of the stuff I'm hearing is eerily similar. They wanted to create, at the pier, or what is it, at the Howard Terminal in Oakland. They were going to create a whole village, and then they were going to do this. They had the community. They had a college in Oakland that they were, there's going to be a land parcel on there. And it just feels like a Mad Lib. We're just erasing A's and we're just putting an R and sneaking a Y in between the A and the S. And it's the same story. The one thing that's different to me is you have new ownership who seems to want to have it work. Yeah, you always got the sense Fisher was doing the whole whoops, that's broken, we can't fix that.
Right.
I get the sense the main difference is this owner, I think, wants them to stay in Tampa Bay, or to say, I got to phrase it like that. Again, I'm going to leave most of the talking to you. I'll just say from an outsider, it always seemed to that line in Raiders of the Lost Ark, they're digging in the wrong place. They put the stadium in the wrong place because they built it in the 80s before they realized what the heck they were doing. Mm-hmm. And I've always felt the support that the Bucs, at least from an outsider, the support the Bucs have been getting is very strong. And the support that the Lightning have been getting been very strong. And if you put the stadium in the right place, you'd probably get a good support because Rays fans get a huge bad rep. Like, oh, it's empty. Oh, they couldn't sell out a playoff game. Well, they're playing their games on a remote, uncharted island. I mean, if they put it where people are, then maybe they'll get some more fans to show up, and they get very good television ratings. There is a big market for baseball. If you put a decent stadium in the right place, I'm not saying they'll outdraw the Dodgers, but they'll certainly show that there's a fan base there.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No. And that's what is the whole reason of doing this. I mean, people like to crap and make fun of the Trop and it being a terrible ballpark. Ulises and I like to call it the best warehouse in baseball. It's air conditioned. You don't get rainouts. I mean, there are benefits in that respect, but you are right, Sully. It is on an island. It might as well be in the Bahamas as far as we're concerned. Or if you ask the average person that lives in Tampa or Pasco County or Polk County or Hillsborough County that has to make that groaning drive across the Skyway Bridge to get to a Rays game on a Tuesday night.
My Uncle Ron lives on the Gulf Coast. Yeah. And he said it's way out there. It's the middle of nowhere. It's the middle of damn nowhere. It's sort of like, everyone I know a bunch of people who live in Tampa and they go banana boats for the Bolts.
Yeah. No. And it helps to have a winner. The Bolts win, the Bucks win generally, and NFL is always going to be king, no matter which city you're in. But why do the Rays want to be in Tampa? Well, because you get more butts in the seats, you get more profit, and that allows you to spend more on payroll and hopefully compete and or win a World Series. Because the way the game is structured right now, you are not going to be able to win a World Series on a $75 or $80 million payroll. Nope, but if you do something like the Battery in Atlanta and transition that to Tampa Bay, I don't know, just ballparking here, you get the payroll up to 9 figures, $100 million, $120, $130 million, whatever it is. You can keep some of your established players instead of trading Brandon Lowe and Pete Fairbanks and so many others over the years. You might actually make a run, even though you probably have to face the Dodgers year in and year out. So that's ultimately what this all comes to is, money, get butts in the seats, and hopefully be even more competitive than you've been the last 15 years.
To Kevin's point there, like, just imagine this offseason if the Rays had that situation. They had a Battery types stadium and all that, and they could have a $120, $130 million budget or payroll. Well, guess what? Instead of trading a Brandon Lowe, Pete Fairbanks, and all that, well, how about you get in a guy like Kyle Tucker, for example, and you're in those sweepstakes, and now you're adding a huge bat into a lineup with, the likes of Ulises, Suarez.
It doesn't even have to be the big fish. It just needs someone to improve him.
It could be a Marcell Ozuna. It could be a Freddie Freeman. I mean,
which, we are in the midst of creating a banner for, was in agreements of talks with Marcell Ozuna, Freddie Freeman. Yeah, we will raise that banner at the new Trop, of course. But it's just, it would give this organization a better standing than just surviving on wits alone. Wits can get you so far, and it has gotten the Rays 2 World Series appearances in the last 20 years, 17 years. So it's been almost there, game 5 and game 6, but you do need that guy, and that guy is going to cost money, or those couple of guys are going to cost money, and you cannot do that unless this stadium situation gets figured out rather sooner than later. Because like you said, Sully, Orlando's knocking on the door saying, hey, we got Mickey Mouse who gives us a lot of money, and you can go ahead and use that, and you can join the Magic.
There's a lot of hotels. There's a lot of hotels in Orlando, which means a lot of tourist tax dollars, bed tax dollars that could be deployed towards luring the Rays from Tampa or Tampa Bay to Orlando. And one more point on this before I know, Sully, you want to move on here. But right now, instead of getting Kyle Tucker or Bo Bichette or fill in the blank, we get Gavin Lux. We get Cedric Mullins. We get Steven Matz on one-year deals with options, maybe a 2-year deal if you get lucky. That's the situation the Rays are in. Right.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm getting more PTSD of doing Locked On A's for that 1 year because replace Las Vegas with Orlando. I'm hearing the same thing.
Right.
We're also living in a world where tourism is plummeting, and granted, and certainly foreign tourism. I'm not going to get that. This is not a political show, but obviously foreign tourism. Gee whiz, I wonder why that's plummeting. And so if you're banking on tourism to fill your seats, I'm sorry if I'm a little skeptical about that. You got to show me that working out. I have screamed from the top of my lungs that I think that Las Vegas is a Venn diagram of a terrible potential baseball market. I have nothing against the people of Las Vegas. I really don't. I don't see the argument of, hey, with tourism plummeting, tourists are going to show up to a desert city in the middle of the summer and go, see the A's play. Same thing when you're a tourist and you're heading to Florida. Let's go there in July. No, that's not the time you go to Florida when it's free, when you're freezing your butt off in Buffalo. So, I mean, yes, I'm sure Disney World is really packed, all year long, but I spent a summer in Central Florida. And while I lost 30 pounds sweating every day, I can't imagine that's the time. Hey, it's hot as heck here. Let's go to where it's hotter. I mean, that seems to be the wrong time to bank on tourist dollars, is the summer. And that's, I mean, to me, the obvious, if you want to see if baseball, Major League Baseball can survive in Central Florida, then have it in freaking Tampa, not St. Petersburg, not Orlando, not Kissimmee, not Melbourne, not Indialantic, not Cocoa Beach, not. How many more cities in Central Florida can I?
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them.
They've already proven that the Bucks can be successful. They've already proven the Bulls can be successful, and you said something in the first segment that I think a lot of people don't understand if you're not a Rays fan. The Rays have incredible TV numbers, incredible top 12 every year, basically. Now, that equates to interest, that equates to people caring, that equates to people buying merchandise. What it might not equate to right now is driving an hour and a half to 2 hours plus to watch their team. And you can avoid that. You can put butts in the seats if you do put it next to where people live, rather where Dolphins live, because Dolphins, unfortunately, in the year 2026, cannot buy a baseball ticket and go into the Trop. Not yet, anyway. Maybe.
I told you I don't want to get political. I don't want to offend our Dolphin listeners at this point.
Yeah, fair.
All right. When we come back, I want to get your predictions, and maybe even, heaven forbid, predict what you think is going to happen with the team. All right, we're doing a crossover here. We got Kevin and Ulises from Locked On Rays. And I've always been one to avoid trashing the attendance of both the Rays and the Marlins. There's such an easy, cheap thing to say, which is also not based in what's actually happening there. I had the same thing when people would trash the Oakland attendance. It's like, please understand what's happening there. And, those same people would trash Dodger attendance, saying, "Oh, they're showing up late. They're leaving. They're showing up late and they're leaving early." So, will you drive the 5? And I just got back from Game 4 of the NLCS a couple hours ago, but the traffic is terrible.
And then when you have an unlikable owner and you trade off, your name brand players, that doesn't help, even if you're winning ball games. I mean, you got to have some attractions to get people in the stadium as well.
When you're threatening your fan base, saying we're going to split seasons between Montreal and Tampa, how do you expect the fans to react? Let me give you more money. Let me show up even to playoff games at 1 p.m. Nah, fam, I'm going to stay home and watch it on the comfort of my own home.
Well, that was the same thing happened with Fisher, where he would trade off anyone who asked for more than minimum wage and then raise ticket prices and do zero repairs to the Coliseum and say, I don't understand why people don't show up. But, I think that there is hope with the new ownership. I initially, when I heard it was a guy from Jacksonville, my first thought was, oh, dear, is he got to move him to Jacksonville?
Right.
And my thought was, please, for the love of everything holy, don't move them to Jacksonville. I mean, they're in the correct region for a Major League Baseball team. And I never, ever wanted them to move. I don't want any team to move. I can't make that any clearer. I understood the situation in Oakland got out of hand and the ship has sailed. I think there are so many better markets for that team to go to than Las Vegas. But apparently they put 2 pillars in the ground, so I can't really do anything about that. I would love, and did I mention love, to see a really good stadium built in the Tampa, not in St. Petersburg, but in Tampa, where they have a real shot at creating, showing how strong their fan base is.
Well, right now, Sully, what you're doing, Sully, is basically doing a great pitch to be the Tampa mayor next year because of term limits. You might be a candidate there. Look, let me tell you,
there's no better candidate than a guy living in California wearing a Massachusetts shirt to take over and be the mayor of Tampa.
Well,
honestly, I don't think that
it's right on the money.
Floridians don't really gel with people from Massachusetts.
I am not running
for
mayor of Tampa. I am running for baseball commissioner. Vote for Sully, baseball commissioner for a change.
And what is your first move as baseball commissioner for a change?
It's to eliminate the automatic runner.
Okay.
Oh, the Ghost Runner, the Manfred Runner. I like that.
And then also eliminate all blackouts and move all TV broadcasts to the MLB app. So you don't have to ever ask, where the hell is the game? You know where the game is.
I love those. No
salary caps or salary floors involved here?
Salary floor, and an audit of all money taken from salary from revenue sharing. It's like, as I said, when we had the fire here and it affected the school system I teach in, 2 of our schools burnt to the ground in the Eaton Canyon fire, we got relief money from the state. Each teacher did, but we had to show every single penny that we got had to be accounted for and showing how we were spending that in our classroom. We couldn't go to Applebee's. That money was for the classroom. If we didn't spend all of it and have the receipts that we spent all of it on our classroom, then we had to give it back. Same thing with revenue sharing. If those top 2 teams, the Mets and Los Angeles, are throwing money in there and you're West Sacramento or Pittsburgh taking that money, to show, or Tampa, you're showing how that money is being allocated to your 40-man roster.
I like it.
Otherwise, you give it back.
I like it.
Hold on to that penny because those are being discontinued.
Yes, they are.
Why do you think I have them here? I got a whole wheelbarrow of them right next to you.
Hold on to them. It's like gold.
It's a collector's item. This is going to be worth money. It's already worth 1 cent.
Well, maybe you can we can get on the Kyle Tucker sweepstakes in 4 years, but for Tampa, so he can come home, or Pete Alonso.
Yeah, but he'll be 40 then.
That's true. Good point there. Look. Every Rays fan wants this to happen. And to happen means the team to stay in the region. Like, even if you're in the Pinellas or Hillsborough, you just wanted to stay here. The Orlando thing is just, it would break a lot of hearts of Rays fans. So I think ultimately the best scenario is this all works out. Hopefully it does end up working out with the HCC campus. Not a lot of financial details that are known right now. But they do have 180 days of that non-binding agreement to get something worked out. So we will definitely be keeping an eye on that. But we definitely have our fingers crossed, Kevin.
Yeah. And there's still a lot of work to do from this non-binding memorandum of understanding. I mean, you have to think about not only the public financing of how much is the
which
city,
I'm against, by the way,
state.
politically. I'm against public finance, but I understand that's a reality. I can scream about, but I like, okay, I hate it.
I think
as a public school teacher, I would rather they spend that money on the school districts, but I get it. I get that that's a reality, and sometimes you have to live in the world you're living in.
Right.
Well, that's the thing, Sully. I think sometimes people don't understand that there's a difference between utopia and the real world. Yes. Should we all want to live in a utopia? Perfectly. That would be great. I don't think.
Should we not be giving incentives to billionaires? Probably not, but that's just not the reality
radicals.
As of right now.
I got radicals on here.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. So the state, particularly the governor and other state legislators and representatives, they make it a point that, hey, we are not going to give public financing towards the construction of a ballpark. However, we will cough up money for infrastructure improvements. Maybe that's road work, water and sewer improvements, parking
that benefits everybody. That benefits everybody. Yes.
In fact, State Senator Danny Burgess, who I'm on a first name basis with, he put in a state appropriation for just recently, within the last couple of days, put in a state appropriation for $50 million for improvements at Hillsborough College. So the wheels are starting to get moving. Now, the key is, can the county and the city cough up enough money to make it worth the Rays' while? Because if we're ballparking here, $1 billion stadium, I think ownership wants 50% of that covered at least.
And you got to, it's state-owned land, and the way that the Rays could potentially bypass the need to pay property taxes is that Hillsborough County would be owning the stadium. Yes. So then there's a lot of mechanisms here that we understand because of this connection between Zalupski and DeSantis and having a good relationship, that it does look like they're trying their best to say, how can we get this done in the most efficient way where everybody's happy and not a lot of money is thrown.
And here's the thing. This is a big difference between the new ownership group, the Zalupski group, and the Sternberg group, because Sternberg, the Rays in Sternberg era, the political ideology did not align with the state's ideology, whereas Zalupski does. So that can make a big difference on getting some state funding and some state appropriations and some workarounds to get this thing off the ground eventually. So I think there's enough pool to make this happen. As I said on our Friday interview with Colleen Wright from the Tampa Bay Times, who is all over this stadium stuff, has been for years now. The golden rule: those who have the gold make the rules, and there's a lot of gold out there.
Yeah. And of course, the other elephant in the room, and it does involve the A's and Stomper, is that they need the Rays and the A's to get their situation done, so they can expand. And of course, there's the other elephant in the room, and there's a lot of apparently elephants in this room, and that is when we went away from multi-purpose stadiums, it's harder to expand and move franchises, because you used to have a stadium that, like, for years a team could threaten to move to Miami or to Denver because Joe Robbie Stadium could be converted to a baseball ballpark, or Mile High Stadium could be converted to a baseball park. But now there are virtually no stadiums. Possibly you could convert the Superdome. Possibly you could, dust off L'Estade Olympique, which is in worse shape than the Trop post-hurricane. And, so you don't have, if you want to move a team to Nashville or to Portland or to Charlotte or to Salt Lake City, it's still 4 years down the line, because you have to build a park.
Yeah.
And so, and I do think that's the unexpected repercussion of everyone falling in love with Camden Yards, was that, it'd be great if it's only baseball. Yeah, those multi-purpose parks serve the purpose.
Yeah.
And so, and I keep looking at that, the money spent on the stadium for the Buccaneers, and I'm thinking, if that was a multi-purpose ballpark, this would be a different situation. Where at least if you want to eventually build a baseball-only park, but they could move there and play a few years the way the Rockies played a few years in Mile High Stadium, then that would be an easier transition. The A's were stuck sleeping on the couch in Sacramento because there was no place for them to play.
Yeah. And what's crazy to me too is, look, it is what it is.
Same thing with the Rays. There was no, the roof was ripped off.
Yeah. They had to play at basically mini Yankee Stadium. Yeah.
But at least with the Rays, in terms of economic development, tourism, and all that good stuff, with NFL, you've only got 8 home games. I mean, you have a couple preseason games, maybe a playoff game. And I know they use Raymond James for Monster Jams and Taylor Swift concerts and Rolling Stone concerts and all that. But at least with baseball, you're guaranteed 81 games. That's 81 days of action and activity at the ballpark and around the ballpark.
Let's
not to mention they'll be able to do concerts and all other types of events and conferences and things like that because it'll be an indoor stadium, covered roof.
All right, last Ulises before we wrap up here.
Yeah, for those that don't know the geographical area here, let's just say the Raymond James Stadium and HTC right there. So what they're going to be creating essentially is kind of what I think is happening in Arlington, Texas, right? Yeah. You have Texas Live, and you can just go from one stadium to another. This would kind of be that same feeling of like, you know what? We're done with baseball in September. Now we're going to go see the Bucs.
Same thing in Philadelphia.
Yeah. So I think that's something that needs to be said, that it's very important. Like, this would really be such a big, big deal for Tampa Bay.
All right. Yeah. Well, look, we got to wrap this up here. Thanks so much for tuning into this Locked On MLB, Locked On Rays crossover. I don't know what you guys are up to, but I am going to bring up an episode, talk about Carlos Beltran's election to the Hall of Fame. Congratulations. He deserves it. Why is his cheating okay and A-Rod's isn't? Make sure you subscribe and follow to Locked On B, Locked On Rays, and follow us on Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter, or whatever it's called these days, and join the Everydayer Club, which is, what the heck is that? What is that URL? It's Locked On MLB.supercast.com. You think I have that memorized by now? And also check out the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel, and make one of us your first listen, MLB or Rays, and make the other one the second listen. And let's go to the trivia question, shall we? The trivia question is, in his prime, Rogers Hornsby played for 4 different teams in 4 years. Which teams were they? Yes, sorry, it's not a Rays question, but I brought that up with you guys, and I figured that's a decent trivia question. He was in his prime, an MVP candidate, won the MVP one of those years. 4 different teams in 4 years. What teams were they? The great Rogers Hornsby. Jumping from team to team is not a new thing, and jumping from podcast to podcast is also not a new thing. So, talking about raising the roof, but this time the right way, in Tampa Bay with Ulises and Kevin of Locked On Rays. This has been a Locked On MLB, Locked On Rays crossover. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.